bold journalism.
But Drew Hernandez is a strong-minded individual.
Exposing lawlessness.
Drew Hernandez, who is ideological.
Finding the truth.
And use the word Antifa.
This is what they do.
Battling
They're
mainstream
liars. The woke mob, all they can do is lie.
These are the front lines.
What's going on, thought criminals? Welcome to Frontlines. I am your host, Drew Hernandez. The Twitter files, hashtag Twittergate continues. It's not over yet. More information continues to come out regarding what these totalitarians were doing behind the scenes, backed by the new frontman of Twitter, Elon Musk. We'll break that down as well. And arrest Fauci, Dr. Fauci, the fraud Fauci is being exposed through his depositions. I mean, everything we've ever known. The guy just is filled with doublespeak. And I argue he's not dumb. He actually knows what he's talking about, but he's got an evil intention and doesn't care if you die, and he's willing to lie in order to, financially, stack himself higher and higher and higher with fame. And also, the rainbow people, bigoted homosexuals, queers, and lesbians are turning Christians away, refusing them service because, tolerance. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys that America Fest is just 10 days away, happening right here in Phoenix, Arizona. You still have some time to get a ticket. If you haven't done that by now, you need to. Come see dozens of great speakers on stage and in breakout panels. I'll be filming episodes of Frontlines Live. You guys can come and meet me and see me in action. It's going to be incredible. Use the QR code on your screen right now to get your ticket. Do it, do it, do it, do it now. My name is Drew Hernandez, and you are now on the front lines. All right, Twittergate continues. Elon Musk confirms that James Baker, a former FBI counsel, was fired from Twitter after the Hunter laptop revelations. Well, who is James Baker? I'm glad you asked. The Post-Millennial reports on Tuesday, Twitter CEO Elon Musk announced that attorney Jim Baker had been exited from the company following recent revelations that he may have played a role in facilitating censorship on the platform. Baker had been hired by Twitter as deputy general counsel in regards to the FBI, following a stint at the FBI that ended with him essentially being forced out of the job. Here's what was tweeted yesterday. In light of concerns about Baker's possible role in suppression of information important to public dialogue, he was exited from Twitter today, Musk wrote on Twitter. Musk said that Baker's explanation was unconvincing once he was confronted. And apparently, this guy was vetting the Twitter files. I don't know how Elon didn't know about this. I don't know if this just is like some kind of one gigantic big psyop. I do understand that Elon has a colossal task right in front of him, getting rid of all the woke-tard losers and commies inside of Twitter. I mean, it's going to be tough to pull these people, cutting all the weeds, getting rid of all the snakes. I could only imagine there will be people that remain that need to be removed. But apparently this former general FBI counsel was vetting the Twitter files before they went out. It kind of makes sense why there was a lack of what the FBI was doing within the Twitter file drops. I personally think that Elon, and I'm hearing some rumors floating around on Twitter that he's just going to release all of them. I think Elon should release the Twitter files like they did with WikiLeaks. Just dump them all, so that all of the media can see and it's fully transparent, so I don't need some kind of explanation. I'm thankful for the information we're getting, but I prefer it that way. I mean, even as a journalist, as a reporter myself, I would love to take a look at everything myself to form my own opinion. But this is interesting. Of course, the FBI is vetting what's going on because, listen, they don't want to hide what they've been doing. The FBI isn't trying to run cover and send their little FBI mole within Twitter to vet the Twitter files, probably scrubbing files to make sure that whatever is in there is not seen. It's not because they don't want to look bad. It's because they don't want the narrative coming out so people don't realize that all the conspiracy theorists out there were proven true yet again. That Big Brother is colluding with Big Tech to suppress the American people, their voices, and the free press and the First Amendment. All it does is confirm everything that we've known to be true. Oh, the FBI is totally not biased. The FBI is totally not compromised. That's not taking place. That's what they want you to believe. But we all know what the truth really is. Well, the White House is running cover. Here's the Biden White House dismissing the Hunter Biden censorship revelations and pivoting and just saying, Twitter's just filled with hate speech. That's what you guys should be concerned about. Take a look.
we see this as an interesting or a coincidence, if I may, that he would so haphazardly, Twitter would so haphazardly push this distraction. That is a full of old news, if you think about it. And at the same time, Twitter is facing very real and very serious questions about the rising volume of anger, hate, and anti-Semitism on their platform, and how they're letting it happen.
There it is. It's old news. It's old news. You know who they're talking to, right? They're not talking to you. They're not talking to me. Not those that are informed, truth seekers, truth speakers, digging through information, really knowing what's going on. No, they're talking to their stupid, woke-tard lemming base that doesn't research anything, that is like, oh, what's going on with Twitter and Elon and the Hunter Biden laptop? Was it actually real? Was it? Oh, no, the White House said, oh, the black lady in the White House, that's the diversity hire. She said it's old news and I don't need to worry about it and I need to be concerned with the hate that's all over Twitter. That's how they control these NPCs. What you just saw there is literally the iOS download update for all of the NPCs that they control to just embrace that narrative and believe it moving forward. No, don't. No, the Hunter Biden laptop, none of that was inside of there. President Biden, former Vice President Joe Biden, claiming he doesn't have any business deals with Ukraine, CCP, in the laptop, a bunch of sus pictures of Hunter Biden with underage girls, a bunch of homemade pornography of Hunter Biden, damning evidence, and even him texting former President Joe Biden saying, oh, I'm being accused of running around FaceTiming with a 14-year-old girl. And no, don't pay attention to any of that, you guys. That's old news. It's a psyop. That's what it is. The FBI colluded with big tech in 2020. They literally let them know, hey, by the way, there's going to be some hacked information coming out regarding Hunter Biden's laptop. They preemptively let them know, and then when it came out, they suppressed it. They intentionally knew what it already was. Big Brother with big tech colluding together to suppress one of the biggest stories in modern American history, and even right now, they still have an FBI mole still trying to scrub those files. And there you have the White House saying, it's old news. Talk about a huge psyop being run on the American people. Talking about psyops, dude. Time magazine names the 2022 person of the year, and it's President Zelensky of Ukraine and the spirit of Ukraine. Look at that, dude. I'll tell you one thing, there was Adolf Hitler once graced the cover of that magazine, and I don't know, maybe that's kind of appropriate. It's kind of appropriate. The guy's a World Economic Forum puppet, and we all know that the World Economic Forum is literally the New World Order, world domination agenda that wants to dominate. These people come out and say, you see what's happening in China? That's the model for the rest of the world. And they say that's the attractive model for the rest of the world. And there is their puppet. That is literally, put that back up, guys. That is the poster boy, quite literally the poster boy for the World Economic Forum, the puppet that you see there on Time magazine. Absolutely insane. Well, meanwhile, you got Ukrainian soldiers running around making TikToks trying to go viral with your taxpayer money, by the way. Take a look. Yeah, it's just, what is it, Fortnite? You just hear like guns shooting in the background and they're doing the morning Pikachu dance, I think they're calling it, Pikachu dance. And by the way, tens of billions of taxpayer money is going to videos like that, bought and paid for by you, the American people, running around making TikTok videos, doing trendy little dances off of your dime, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, because Ukraine matters over everything else going on in the American society and everything going on in the American story, because, screw everybody else and just worship Ukraine and get on your knees and worship the World Economic Forum. That's what they expect. Well, speaking of the great high priest of COVID-19, Dr. Anthony Fauci is being exposed even further. It's like everything that we knew, everything that they claimed was a conspiracy theory is being confirmed right before our very own eyes. Post Millennial dropped that Fauci's daughter worked for Twitter During the pandemic, a deposition reveals on Monday, Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt released to Twitter the full transcription of Dr. Anthony Fauci's full deposition in the ongoing case regarding social media censorship, in which it was revealed that Fauci's daughter worked for Twitter. Is anybody surprised by that? I think Charlie Kirk responded to this and tweeted, just because. You know, it's just, at this point, it's so predictable. It's so predictable. I mean, you talk about the deep state, you talk about the shadow government, these bureaucrats, and now they're children that are all involved with suppressing you, the American people, and taking down this country. That's exactly what that is. I mean, the deposition is even revealing that Fauci was an early opponent of masking during the pandemic. We've all known this. We knew this. In the full transcript of Dr. Anthony Fauci's deposition in the ongoing case regarding social media censorship released on Monday, it was revealed that the outgoing NIAID director initially opposed wearing masks shortly before the pandemic began spreading across. But we all knew this. We all knew this. The great high priest, Dr. Fauci, our Lord and Savior, most sexiest man alive. Remember that was floating around? It's like, dude, talk about like the devil, right? Selling your soul to the devil. That's what it looks like. You know, when the devil tempted Christ and was like, if you just worship me, I'll give you everything. I'll take you to the pinnacle. I'll give you all the money, all the power, everything you could ever possibly wanted if you just get on your knees and worship me. Look at that guy. Put that picture back up. Look at that guy. You talk about a guy that got on his knees to worship the devil. He's the sexiest man alive. He's got everything he's ever wanted at the expense of murdering you and your family. Fauci should be arrested immediately. He should be arrested immediately for lying to the American people continuously. Okay, this is my opinion. For lying to the American people, running a psyop on the American people. Listen, I don't think he's dumb. I think Fauci is very intelligent and smart and knows that the majority of the public, not the thought criminals and the viewers, you guys know what I'm saying, but he knows the majority of the public is stupid and low IQ and is willing to just put up with his bipolar narratives. He could say whatever he wants when he wants. He knows exactly what went down with the Wuhan lab. He knows exactly where this came from. He knows that masks don't really do anything because he was saying it to the entire world and then switched his tune all of a sudden. And then the mask mandates came. He knows exactly how damaging the vaccines are to the American public, to the public to the human race. He knows all of this stuff. But he acts like, oh, no, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But why does he do this? Because he hates humanity and he loves fame and wealth more than anything else in this world. And he's willing to allow people to die in order to gain that. Well, the groomers are not letting up. And we're not going to let up either when it comes to exposing these pedophiles and these people that want to target the innocence of children. We'll never let that go. We'll never stop. At all costs, we'll protect the children. That's the spirit of humanity. Well, apparently a Charlotte school district is suggesting that parental consent is not needed. Charlotte Mecklenburg schools allow students to change their name and gender identity without parental consent or knowledge. During an August 17th, 2022 meeting at this Charlotte School District Board of Education, a presentation was given outlining the district's policies on topics ranging from student discipline procedures to teacher salaries and transgender students. It's interesting because take a look at this first one, all right? This is insane. Transgender students' parents is unaware or disapproving. They're giving advice on how to handle this. In deciding whether to involve a student's parents or guardian in developing a plan, school staff should work closely with students to assess the degree to which, if any, the parent guardian will be involved in the process and must consider the health, well-being, and safety of the student. Currently, no duty for school to report transgender status to the parents. There it is, right there, out in the open. There's no duty for us to involve the parents in this decision. We are going to determine if we're going to talk to you about what your kids identify as and what their name is. We're going to tell you how this is going to go, Mom. We're going to tell you how this is going to go, Dad, because your kid belongs to us. Their sexuality, it belongs to us. We'll determine if we're going to involve you or not. Yeah. That's where these people are at. Here's another one. This is crazy. Legal standards, sex segregated facilities allow all students to use bathrooms, locker rooms, and other sex segregated facilities consistent with their gender identity. Do not require them to use a separate restroom. Provide any student comfortable with using a sex segregated facility, a gender neutral single stall option, but do not require such use except to protect students from actual, not hypothetical peer harassment. Teaching the kids more segregation, right? But they're obsessed with sexual identity. And then when a little kid says, well, what does trans mean? What does it mean to be gay? Well, it's gay sex, little kid. I'm glad you asked. Don't tell your parents. I'll explain to you what it means to be a homosexual and what that looks like. I'll explain to you what it means to be trans. Oh, did you know that you could chop your penis off, little kid? It'll make you feel better. How do you know that conversation isn't taking place? Because they're literally openly saying, we're not going to involve the parents in these conversations. How do you even know that they're not talking like that to little kids? You don't know. You don't know. I'm just supposed to trust these people because they care about just, inclusivity. They want kids to feel good about themselves. Oh my gosh, don't hurt the gays' feelings. No. This is disgusting. This is grooming. That's exactly what this is. Well, speaking of the trans freaks, here's this, again, I mean, there's so much evidence. Here's this trans freak teacher admitting to confusing kids. I'm not allowed to tell kids I'm trans or non-binary or that I'm not a girl. I showed up today with a new haircut and presenting much more, I think that's masculinity than usual. The kids are all confused and asking why I have a mustache if I'm a girl. If I'm Mr. Beanhart, this is Mr. Beanhart, okay, your kid's teacher, Beanhart, why am I trying to look like a boy, etc.? I'm just ignoring questions, redirecting so I don't get in trouble. Though some of the reactions are hurtful, I'm not mad. I'm so offended by little kids. Oh my God, get over yourself. And don't mean harm. I'm mostly just enjoying all the confusion about what I am. Wondering what they're going to do when I have a mustache and skirt later this week. I'm enjoying confusing children. I'm enjoying confusing your kids. They're open about it. That's a Mr. Beanhart, ladies and gentlemen, confusing the hell out of your kids. And then they'll hide it from the parents. There it is, Mr. Beanhart. That's who's teaching your kids. Mr. Beanhart, Mom. Unreal. Speaking of the real bigots, the rainbow bigots have been found refusing Christian service. Inclusive Virginia restaurant that is pro-LGBTQ, homosexual, gay sex, all that nasty stuff that spreads disease. Inclusive Virginia restaurant cancels Christmas party after LGBTQ staff refuse to serve Christians. At this restaurant in Richmond, Virginia, the restaurant that says it prides itself on being an inclusive environment recently canceled a reservation for just 90 minutes before its scheduled time for a Christian group that they say made their female and LGBTQ plus staff feel uncomfortable and unsafe. Oh, I'm so scared. I'm so afraid. We're such a powerful community. Nobody could stop us. We're going to be who we are, but you can't come to our restaurant because we're gay and queer and we're scared to be around Christians. Give me a break, dude. These people are pathetic. Literally pathetic, dude. Literally pathetic. They are bigots, the real bigots, man. And it's out in the open. People are like, oh, you're homophobic. I'm not scared of these people. I just don't like them. And I don't like how they go after the innocence of children. I don't fear these people. I fear God and only God alone. And these people will be called out because they need to be. God is right. God is true. And he'll always be right in the end, especially when it comes to this gay, queer, trans garbage that we're seeing pushed upon children and refusing service to Christians. It's just so wild. Well, speaking of some real bigotry and racism, here's this woke white teacher thinking that proper grammar is racist, and she attempts to undermine it when she teaches it to children.
As an educator, I am constantly worried if I am part of the problem. What do I mean by that? Well, public education is an institution that upholds lots of problematic systems in our society, like white supremacy and misogyny and colonization, etc. In my role as an educator, I try to undermine that BS in my classroom as much as I possibly can. I teach high school English, and whew, the white supremacy runs deep. What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at how we write essays. Start with an introduction that includes a thesis. Always cite your sources. Use transition words like however and therefore. These are all made-up rules. They're arbitrary. They were created by Westerners in power. In linguistic justice, April Baker Bell calls this the language of respectability or the language of power. Which got me thinking, what if I started my school year with a unit honoring how we talk rather than teaching students how to write properly? So this is the start of my series on teaching linguistics in high school.
You know, it's crazy how they attribute like doing things properly to whiteness. Because like by default, it's like, okay, I guess if you're just doing things ghetto, it's by default minority, black or brown. That's the woke white mentality, dude. They hate black people. These people hate black people. I've been proven to. Here's another teacher saying that we should have lower expectations for black students because they suffer from trauma and PTSD.
So we now know that trauma just makes it almost infinitely harder to learn when you're a child. And we also now know that systemic racism is essentially an adverse childhood experience. And many researchers qualify systemic racism as an adverse childhood experience, which means that children who are Black and brown in our schools are expected to be excellent while suffering from complex PTSD.
Okay, get her off. Get the woke white off. Let me just interject as a brown person. Not true. No, when I grew up as a kid, I was not like, oh my God, there's so much racism everywhere. I just can't deal with it. There's just PTSD. I'm so scared. I'm never going to be able to succeed in life because there's just white people and white supremacy everywhere. No, it's not true. These people hate minorities, they hate black people, and they just want them to continue to be victimized, living as little victims, never getting ahead, never leaving that psychological plantation. The woke whites, dude, these people, man, they actually are the real racists. Well, speaking of real racists, I got one more video for you guys. Here's this so-called professor saying white people are committed to being villains and that they have an end date, and we got to take these mother effers out.
I think that white people are committed to being villains in the aggregate, right? The real sort of issue here, and I've heard people sort of say it, is one, I think that white people viscerally fear. It's not that white people don't know, right, what they have done. They know. They fear that there is no other way to be human but the way in which they are human, which is to, so, you talk to white people, and whenever you really want to have a reckoning about it, they say stuff like, it's just human nature. If y'all had all of this power, you would have done the same thing, right? And it's like, no, that's what white humans did. White human beings thought there's a world here and we own it. And that's the thing that white people don't trust us to do because they are so corrupt. Their thinking is so morally and spiritually bankrupt about power that they can't they fear viscerally, existentially letting go of power because they cannot imagine that there's another way to be. It is either that you dominate or you are dominated. And isn't it sad that is spiritually who they are and that they can't imagine a sort of more expansive notion of the world? The thing I want to say to you is we got to take these motherfuckers out. But we can't say that, right? But whiteness is largely an inconvenient interruption. And so we then get to ask ourselves, so why am I here in this moment of it? Like, damn, why did I show up in this particular iteration? And it's like, well, I think we showed up in this iteration precisely so that we could help to figure out an end and a way to the other side of this, gargantuan historical tragedy that is white supremacy.
Literally like a low IQ McDonald's employee lecturing me why they got my order wrong. I think that's pretty appropriate commentary for that Stacey Abrams LARPer that we just saw right there. That's totally 100% racist. That's all the time we got for tonight, you guys. My name is Drew Hernandez. These are the front lines. I'll see you guys on the next one.